All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our YouTube channel. I didn't do a Morning Note live yesterday. I actually did it recorded. So that's on our YouTube channel as well. Just kind of wanted to switch it up there since I didn't do the weekly recap video on Sunday. I just did it on Monday morning. I figured that would probably be the easier way to do our weekly videos, just trying to switch it up. But, if it's all the same, I could just always do it on Sundays and just do our morning notes live like we always do. Either way, glad to be with you this morning. Thanks for joining again, Instagram and YouTube followers or subscribers. So let me make sure everything is all good in terms of the sound. Okay. Last thing I want is my mic to be muted. That's happened to me too many times. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Dow futures down 544 points. The Nasdaq's down 1% this morning. S&P is down 1% this morning. The Russell's down 1.35% this morning. The VIX is up 15%. This is all geopolitical fears. Geopolitical headlines. We had American-made ballistic missiles, I read, shot from Ukraine into Russia. So this is what it's all about. So kind of throw fundamental pricing of the market and seasonal flows and all that stuff out the window, at least for today or right now, just for the fact that the market is digesting these kind of headlines, possible fear of a wider war, alliances. We can go forever talking about speculation, but what we have is in front of us. Okay. So right now, not looking great, but opportunities abound. Why do I say that? Well, all-time highs being hit, that's great news. But at the end of the day, if you're an investor, you're looking for some kind of weakness. At the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. Some kind of sale, Black Friday sale. People like Black Friday sales, Amazon Prime Days, Cyber Mondays for a reason, because prices are down. So is this kind of action anything to get us excited for in terms of investing an investable dip? In my opinion, no. It's a nice start if you're an investor. You're looking to see that prices are coming down, but not enough to get you really excited. Why do I say that? More than likely, this dip is going to get bought. That's just the fact of November itself, the seasonal flows. Bank of America also reported this morning that the equity fund flows, this is money going into stocks, actual equities, have actually stayed the same and have been consistent. So we are getting money into stocks. This, again, today is really just geopolitical fears. If you've been part of this YouTube channel, you guys know that we have seen so many things up and down or throughout the past 10 years, whether it's China trade wars, COVID, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, the Middle Eastern conflict, Taiwan and China, North Korea launching missiles. Many times that has dropped the dollar yen, many times has dropped S&P futures. And over time, the stock market, and at least in the United States, has been rather resilient. So, think about it this way. We're only about 200 points away from all-time highs on the S&P. If we just want to give ourselves a little bit of context, we haven't been at this current level in 2 weeks. Not exactly the worst case scenario. We're in the same place that we were during November 6th. So kind of a retrace possibility. We talked about that, kind of checking back to see previous pricing, previous breakouts, see if those bulls or buyers defend those levels. That's what we're really looking for in terms of the grand scale of things, the grand picture. So with that being said, the dollar is also up 0.17%. Crude oil is flat. Gasoline futures are up 0.68%. So not a lot of fear, at least in terms of crude oil, in regards to Russia and Ukraine. Russia obviously produces a lot of oil, but look at gold. I talked about gold yesterday on our video on YouTube when we were above 2,600. I wish I sent that gold trade, but that's fine. But 2639 currently, I want to take a look at that. And again, do you guys remember when gold started tanking? When did that start tanking? The election, right? Right, beginning of or ahead of the election, the risk off mood. It wasn't that, gold was overbought or it's just not a good investment anymore. It's just for the fact that, let me remove this, is that it was a risk on market. Money was piled into crypto, into stocks, higher beta names, the Shopify's of the world, Carvanas of the world, higher yielding assets. Gold, unfortunately, doesn't really have that kind of triple digit returns the way some of these high beta names make. So that's where you get kind of the funds of flow funds based on what the risk appetite is out there. Today, the risk appetite is, hey, the world's going to hell, at least based on the headline, and you're seeing gold pop higher. Interesting enough, Bitcoin is holding well, and that's usually a risk on asset, but maybe that's in its own world in a sense because President-elect and former president, now will be new President Trump, is actually meeting up with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. So maybe we get a little headlines there, and Trump and Brian Armstrong can get crypto popping higher as we look for the journey to 100,000. I personally thought Bitcoin was going to hit 100K last year, but I was just a year too early if we hit it this year. Silver's up 0.58%, copper down 0.30%. If you're taking a look at the Forex land, dollar yen down 100 points, that is a risk off scenario. When the yen, dollar yen is down or falling, that's usually people are trying to pile into something risk free, the Japanese yen. That's just kind of how the fundamentals work there. So 153.66, about 97 pips down. Bitcoin holding up relatively better than, let's say, the NASDAQ, down 0.51%, Ethereum down 2.6. Got to chalk this up over to what happened overnight. And guys, it's a tough one. How do you prepare for that stuff? How do you prepare for, conflicts overnight when people are sleeping? It's not like you could do anything. So, that's why you have your stops. That's why you have your analysis and so on and so forth, all your hedging. Fair enough. But this is one of those days that just happened this way. It's happened many times, and it'll happen many times throughout your trading career if you decide to do this with your time. But rest assured, this US stock market is very resilient. It's just been that way. I was looking back at some of the photos and screenshots I've had from 2017, how different the stock market was then. And keep in mind, that was that was 7 years ago. A lot of people kind of look at what changes can happen in 7 hours, 7 days, 7 months, but the real change really is years. And I would say this to any student I'm teaching or anybody who asks me, what is the key to stock market investing? It's time. Use time to your favor. The power of compounding interest. That's the deal. It's not about when you buy, it's how long you can hold. That's the key. So, just a little bit of heads up there in terms of somebody who's just getting into this. Maybe they just saw the all-time highs and they're seeing, why is the stock market going down? Again, headlines overnight. That's the issue. So let's go straight to the questions this morning. Let's see. Tara's asking, which direction are you looking in the markets today? That's a really good question. And that's something everyone should ask every day if they're a trader. Hey, what do I see today? Okay, so taking a look here at S&P 500 futures, keep in mind S&P 500 futures is weighted, meaning that the mega cap names, the Nvidias, the Microsofts, the Apples, they are very skewed. They're heavily weighted. So those kind of names are going to really move this S&P 500, this contract. So looking at it here, we are below the 20-day. Not good. I would prefer that recapture that 20-day at 58.96. That's about 14 points away. The key level for me is 59.20. 59.20 with that break. We went long last night. We got to as high as around 10 points, and then it reversed on us on the headline regards to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Not much you can do there. We were looking for 59.50. It seemed like we were on our way there. If we just go to the 15-minute chart this morning, yesterday, you could see how high we got. It was right around 59.33. Nice price action, about to break out from the session highs of yesterday, and then kind of faded, and then we got the drop at 3:30 in the morning. That's when London opens. Got a little bit of a relief bounce. Tag 59.20 again, and you can see 4 in the morning, a slam. And even Walmart reported earnings, and they were great earnings. So Walmart being a part of the Dow, being part of the S&P, you would think, corporate earnings are a good tailwind to help stocks, obviously. But with this conflict, with that missile launching headlines into Russia, it just seems like the algorithms, the traders said, I'm out. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's it. And that happens many times. You could see we're starting to get a bounce now of about 25 points on the S&P, which is no small feat. So again, let's see if we can get above that 20-day. All right. So we go to the daily. This is a 2-year daily. That purple line, that's our 20-day moving average. And the reason I do 20 days is because when you go to the 1-hour chart, it's a 20 days. That's your whole period. So I want to get that average based on that 20-day period on the 1 hour charts, because that's really what I look on the most is the 1 hour. So if we can, get above the average of the past 20 days, that's usually a good sign of momentum moving forward. So let's see if we recapture it. Let's see if the bulls wake up at 9:30, look to buy or buy this weakness, and then we can see if we can ride it higher. Speaking of Walmart, if you guys remember yesterday on our video, again, that was a recorded video. Take a look on YouTube. So we talked about the three stocks we were watching for the week: Walmart, Nvidia, and Target. All right, those are all earnings names. So let's take a look at Walmart together. We're going to bring up the 4 hour chart, and you can see we got to 88. I said that 9088 is our 161.8 fib extension. All right, that's from the weekly. So again, just kind of a recap. The lows was 3909 back in 2022 during the worst of the inflation scare or the inflation boost, when we had the supply chain and all that good stuff, all that bad stuff, excuse me. So you can see that we are up pre-market. Let's see the hourly. Yep, we got as high as 88. I'll bring up the 4 hour one more time, and you can see 9088 close. But again, the push higher is there. At least they did beat in terms of profitability, top and bottom line. The trend is still higher. I think Walmart gives us some more. If you did not trade Walmart pre-market, I didn't do it before earnings. This is a good sign. So I want to see the volume and see if we can get to 9088 on Walmart. Again, if there was tons of fear out there, at least in terms of fundamentals, Walmart would have been falling pre-market, but it is up slightly, not as high as 88. But there is fear, but there's also some common sense out there. There are some buyers out there that see value, and they see value in Walmart. So I just wanted to go over that with you. If you guys are interested in the details regarding to the earnings of Walmart, it's all here on our live market blog on Discord. And it's free. It's scrolling at the bottom. Feel free to join in. We have now 2019 members. How amazing. Thank you guys for being here. All right. Let's see. Sean says, I personally enjoy morning notes live each morning. It feels more like a community, so that's my vote. Oh, okay, perfect. So I'll just stick with the lives. It's much easier. I don't have to process any videos. When I do a video on YouTube for a recording, it takes a bit to upload on YouTube. So when we do it live, hey man, we're ready to go. I don't have to do much. That's anything that makes my job easier. I like. All right, let's go to Instagram and see if we got any questions this morning. Thank you to those who are joining me. Good morning, YSL Jamie. Thanks for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Just want to say good morning, Galantrani. Thanks for that. Thanks for being here. And I'm trying to see Hood. Okay, Captain Louis is asking about Hood. Let's look at it. Saw Hood was actually pushing higher yesterday. So this one we're going to have to expand just a bit. So we're going to do a monthly chart. I know this kind of looks a little wild. Again, these are monthly candles. But you could see wick high of 85 back in 2021, right? Remember that bull run of 2021? That was the first year of a new administration, the Biden administration. Guess what we're about to have? A new administration, January. It seems like 2021 vibes, 2017 vibes. Anyone who traded 2017, that was pretty fun. And we had low interest rates back then too. All good. 44 would be our next target in terms of upside potential. Again, that's a little more long term. You can see the daily is a complete breakout across the board. So the only concern I have with Hood is if we start getting some selling, and it is holding up this morning. Imagine that. They did acquire a trading firm. I don't know the name. Let me see if I can get it. I want to get that headline for you guys in regards to Robinhood. All right, let me get this going. I'm looking at my phone at this very moment, so bear with me a second. Where are you? Ah, here we go. So Robinhood is up 0.40 pre-market. And oh, here we go. Mizzou reiterates outperform rating on Robinhood market. So that's probably why that's holding up. Robinhood to acquire Trade PMR for 300 million to boost advisory business. Very, very cool. Okay, so that's gonna help them. Robinhood has been pushing to grab market share from traditional brokerages like Charles Schwab and Fidelity Investments in its effort to become a full-fledged financial service provider. So they paid 300 million in cash and stock to this company called Trade PMR. So again, little M&A. It's different to see. We haven't seen that in a couple of years. Outside of the semiconductor space, I mean, we looked at JetBlue and Spirit. That deal's not coming through. Spirit is on the brink of bankruptcy. Airlines are that way. How many airlines have come and gone? Hell, even Donald Trump had his own airline and that went bankrupt. So it happens, you know. Does that mean that the airline space is somehow bad? No, there's some really great demand out there. If you guys remember, Labor Day weekend was like the highest ever in terms of travel for TSA. Imagine Thanksgiving this year. Whew, who knows? So with that being said on Hood, I mean, if you can break the highs of 35.62, the only concern I have is this gap fill at 30. That's $5 away from $4.40 away from where we are currently, 434 to be exact. So the question remains, is there volume on calls and do we want to kind of chase this action? Let's say if we were to get additional weakness on the S&P 500 due to these headlines, maybe there's more headlines that come through. More than likelihood, we'll fill that gap as maybe kind of a rush for liquidity comes out there. But in terms of Hood, yeah, I would be a little bit waiting a bit more unless we get above 36. And at 36, I mean, I guess you can't ignore it any longer. So let's go and place an alert at 36. We'll see the volume. More than likely, it'll probably be around the 40 mark, maybe 38. But we'll see how it goes as we go. Thanks for the question. Hi, what do you think about Palantir? That's R. Barahona, excuse me. Actually, Palantir had some headlines this morning. And again, you guys know me. I love Palantir. It's one of our top 10 stocks of 2024. But this is getting to the point of overbought. And this is where people get hurt. If you have Palantir, fine, no problem. But just like Robinhood, there's gaps to fill. So right now we're at 59.32. 56.38 was my first kind of alert to keep an eye. The goal that I'm looking for is right around 45. I know that seems like a long way from here, but that would just be a check back filling in the gap from earnings. I'm not asking for much. If we can get there, that'd be great. I'm not even asking for this gap fill at 31. We may not get there for a long time. But hey, you know, $42? Why not? Let's see what Jeffries has to say because Jeffries is the one that went ahead and did the downgrade. 60% downside risk for Palantir. I think they have a price target of 45. So Palantir taking a hit on that downgrade this morning. I'd expect those put volumes to be really cooking, but Palantir has been very resilient. One of the better AI trades out there. To me, I always say the same thing. They are Skynet from Terminator 2, if anyone remembers. That's kind of the best way I explain it. I think Palantir is a fine company. Again, hopefully nothing changes. Earnings have been solid. Management has been great. There has been some selling in from the higher ups or the officers. I think the CEO sold some as well. We've had that with NVIDIA. Not a huge deal. But with that being said, with Palantir, I want a little more of a dip. I want something where it's interesting enough to buy some more. Right here, I don't see it. No. I don't think it's in demand enough where we can get a better, like we can get a really great price where we're really, really, oh man, I got to get in on this. We're not there yet. I don't think so. You know, we'll break 56 maybe. You know, that is some support there. That is your 200 MA on the 1 hour. If we break that, then yeah, it gets really fun. But I just got this feeling that once we get to 56.38, this kind of seems like a buy the dip moment. Maybe for some who want to dip their toe in the water, and we might be able to catch at least a bounce on calls for short term. We can ride that wave if we do. Thanks for the question. Lily, this is from Row World. Okay, so Eli Lilly, anything vaccines, injections, or anything like that, anything medical is taking a hit now because of the RFK Health and Human Services. I think he's going to head it, or is like the health czar. So again, I think that's an opportunity for those who are looking to get into a stock that does make money. It's not like they don't make money. Eli Lilly. I want to say Eli Lilly makes Ozempic, which is a very popular drug. There is a price fill gap here at 675. Now, we can make any excuse that we want, but we know that gaps usually fill over time. That would be my first marker there if we can get there. We're at 716. 675 gets you back to where we were for the beginning of the year in February. So that would be a nice gap fill, possible nice bounce play. If you're looking for some deeper discount, I don't think it gets here. It's 455. I think 675 is your support. I wouldn't trade options on this because it'd just be too expensive for a signal. But possible dip play, sure. Would options on IBIT be more viable than BITO? IBIT, the question is, do they have volume? And this is the iShares ETF. So let's take a look at it. IBIT, I don't have any volume here, but I haven't seen a lot of volume on it, but BITO has. So again, I just go ahead, based on the volume. I want to buy something that I can sell quickly, or I want to short something that I can get rid of quickly. And if there's no volume, then we're really just trading against each other. So kind of pointless. But yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at IBIT in the future, but I haven't seen any kind of volume there like the way BITO does, or a Mara or a Coinbase. Not yet, anyways. Peloton says, add honey. All right, I got an alert at 10:12. That's been my alert there. That's that 1, 2, 3 triple top. We're not there yet. We're pulled back away from $9. So wake me up when that breaks at 10. We're not there yet. Peloton, more likely to me, looks like a company that's going to be acquired rather than be a standalone company. I don't know who's going to pay the premium for that. Um, the first thought in my head would be Apple, but I don't see Apple trying to do anything special in terms of acquisitions, at least now. They're not well known to do that. As people know or have been investors in Apple for a while, they're rather conservative with their money, and that's fair. That's what happens when you have Uncle Warren as your one of your prime investors. Palo Alto, let's see it. This is for earnings reporting, I think tomorrow. Let's see on the hourly, and you could see here. Let me extend this to the right, kind of this channel here. That gap has been filled. We have one more gap at 368.93. Let's see if we get there. If we add continuous weakness on the futures market, excuse me. We're at 384. Okay. We have a 20-day move. Actually, you know what? The 20-day. This is where it gets difficult. How do you predict human behavior? It's all about the reaction, right? For Palo Alto, it really depends on where we are today, because if we kind of close right around 360 before earnings, you don't have a lot of edge. If we were at 326, a little more edge, but if we kind of stay right around 400, it seems that we're primed for a breakout on Palo Alto. Being here at 377 is kind of your first marker. That is the 20. We talked about that. 369.85 is your downside gap from October. That would be nice to fill first, but we gotta wait and see. Right now, the Palo Alto is not looking like it's doing anything at the moment. You're welcome. Let's see anywhere else. DJT, Shovogram. Just volatile. DJT very similarly looks like a GME in a sense. You could see kind of a topping formation or double top here at 54. The only thing about this stock is that it's very based on the future president or the president-elect. I think kind of the move was basically what, election day, going long on an election day, and you can see the boost from from election day. They don't make a lot of money, guys. This is a pure spec play. So I think there's better options out there than DJT. And that's not a political thing. That's just the stock looks like shit thing. Excuse my language. Palantir ready to short. Not as of yet. No. No. 56.38. We can have that discussion, but I don't think we're even close yet. Good morning. Do you have any thought on regarding earnings of NVIDIA and in connection with SMCI? I talked about NVIDIA yesterday on the video as well. And I talked about that 140 level, 140 retest here. So we retested it. We're right above it. I think NVIDIA gets to 150 by the end of the week. That's my personal opinion based on earnings. It's going to be expensive to trade it. I would say it's best to just kind of wait it out and wait for the reaction. Because, of course, I could be wrong. Hello. I'm not an oracle. I'm not perfect. That's for sure. But that's just my view on it. I think NVIDIA is going to crush it. The question is it going to crush enough for investors to want to get in? And I think based on the technical patterns on the pricing, yeah, we filled a downside gap on the daily at 140.47. We're holding up so far. But I can understand where people might say, hey, the 130 puts down to the 50-day. That sounds more viable. Fair enough. But look at the price action here. By the dip, we will see. I think NVIDIA goes higher. In terms of SMCI, what we've been getting is a short covering. But man, look at that support. Almost there at that level. 1708 never broke, but 1084 was really like that downside target on SMCI. You can see on the weekly a full check back. Do we have enough to do the biggest dip buy, well, in a couple years now? The saying, I don't know if you've maybe read this book by Walter Deemer, when it's time to buy, you won't want to. That's the deal. Okay, let's see. Okay, I gotta wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I know I'm gonna miss a bunch of stuff here. Let me go ahead one more time into the YouTube questions. I agree with Sean D. Let's do coin real quick. I want to answer some questions before we open up the session. Got 4 minutes. I'm under the gun here. Beautiful breakout on coin. I think Bitcoin goes higher. I have BITO calls. So yes, Coinbase will go higher, in my opinion. The CEO is meeting up with President-elect Trump today. Maybe Coinbase does some moves. And hello, good morning. Last one, Palantir. If I'm long stocks, do I take profits? What do you think? If you need the money and press us, you take it. You enjoy your life. Money is meant to be enjoyed as well. Okay, I understand looking at your triple digit gains, amazing. I love it. Definitely good for the ego. But at the end of the day, it's just money. So, if you need it for something, please enjoy it. If you need it, and the way you want to do it too, some people are a little different. Let's say you're up big on a stock, take out your initial investment and let the profits ride. Saves you a little bit on taxes, maybe in terms of how much you pay in capital gains. But again, at least you get a little taste back of your money. Always a nice thing, all right? The key is whatever it helps you hold for the longer period. That's really the game. Like I said, it's all about holding at the end of the day. And if you really hate this stuff and picking stocks, just buy an S&P index fund and call it a day. You don't have to do anything. Just let that ride forever and you'll have your retirement set. Bet on America is what I always say. Yes, you'll have some ups and downs, but America is pretty great. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. Thank you for joining me this morning, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note. I'm going to go ahead and catch up with our members on our server. I hope to see you there. Cheers, all.